University, on the coast of California, there was once a nerd punk biochemistry astrophysics double major named Deirdre Duquette. All of her friends from the punk scene back home in Oroville called her Ducky, and she kept that nickname, despite the fact that the punk scene in Oroville meant Ducky, her gay best friend Oscar, and 4 weird goth girls into worshipping Satan. Ducky was not what most of her classmates considered one of the better-looking girls at school. The wicked blonde bipsies who populated the place in droves loved to comment that Ducky, in fact, was quite an appropriate nickname for the poor girl. In fact, they said her name, Ducky, with such emphasis that it became an insult. And that was basically okay. Occasionally they called her Fucky, as had many of the rednecks in Oroville. That was also okay, because most of the time Ducky was in their presence, one or both of her hands was flipping them the bird. While the nickname Ducky had come originally from Deirdre Duquette's surname, the parallel was often drawn between that name and Ducky's Franco-Iberian sniffer of positively cyanotic proportions. Ducky was also gawky, with horn-rimmed glasses, and a neck remarkably like a giraffe's, minus the fetching tawny spots. To make matters worse, or at least more colorful, Oscar had been an aspiring tattoo artist. He now lived with his husband in the Castro, but in the meantime he had left a science-obsessed Ducky covered in intricate tattoos, portraying various aesthetically pleasing molecular structures, including those of acetylcholine, cardiac glycosides from phospholipid to digitalis, and Ducky's absolute favorite chemical substance, P, which would become critically important in her future career for reasons entirely unanticipated at the time of its rendering. In her 3rd year of college, Ducky discovered she very badly needed a job. Her hippie mom from Oroville had gamely saved for her daughter's college education from her job at the local diner and the occasional sale of one of her acrylics of big-eyed anthropomorphized marmosets riding bicycles, but the money was running out. Ducky had been single basically forever. She was sexually inexperienced, but in the summer after high school, Oscar had gone through a kinky phase. He thought he might want to be a leather boy, so he begged Ducky to tie him up and amuse him. Being Ducky, she'd gotten a ride to the city and shoplifted about 30 books on bondage. Don't shoplift books. She'd nicked some nylon from a boathouse on Lake Oroville and learned to tie rope bondage with an almost terrifying efficiency. Oscar, who was half Samoan, half Swedish, and at 6'4" and 250 pounds, was not entirely used to leaving the ground with any frequency. He soon found himself suspended from the rafters in his great-uncle's barn, his hips and chest and shoulders cinched tight in about 4 zillion feet of tightly knotted rope. OMG, WTF, cried Oscar, as Ducky hoisted him into the air with one hand. An inveterate cybersex devotee, Oscar tended to revert to spelled-out chat abbreviations when in moments of stress, a habit his best friend found annoying and charming at the same time. Ducky got Oscar about 4 feet off the ground, which put him in exactly the right position for her to try all the stuff she'd been reading about, spanking and slapping, and doing that funky thing with the balls that's supposed to make a guy squeal. Ducky held a moldy mattress under him just in case she'd miscalculated the load-bearing capacity of the overhead rafters, which, quite frankly, was about as likely as Stephen Hawking biffing the order of the planets. Enough of a nerd to be more obsessed with safety than sex, Ducky had also stashed some safety shears nearby, along with a huge first aid kit, 4 fire extinguishers, and an automated external defibrillator, which Oscar had misconstrued as one of his sensation toys in his immediate future, and was nervously eyeing while repeating a safe word in his head to make sure he did not forget it. Oscar's balls were quite tightly restricted, and his cock, swiftly stiffening, extended almost directly back towards butt cleft, which gave him a serious bout of the squirmies as Ducky lifted him into position. It's called a pulley. It can do wonderful things. Didn't you pay attention in physics class? Said Ducky as she grabbed Oscar's nuts and spanked. He squealed like a pig. Now, Oscar, I know you're gay, so feel free to call me Daddy. OMG, can I call you Charlie Sheen instead? Whatever floats your boat, dude. Motherfuck, Oscar, you have the worst taste in men. Ducky thought Charlie Sheen was a creepy one on point, which she and her best friend frequently argued. Oscar's giggle made Ducky realize that he was being a snarky little prick, and she knew all about this from her many shoplifted educational texts. Don't shoplift books. He was being a smart-ass masochist, and the only proper response was to smack the shit out of him. She spanked Oscar quite hard on the ass, grabbed his balls, and abused them till he stopped mouthing off. Sorry, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. I won't talk shit anymore, sir, master. That's better, she said, trying desperately to approximate the gruff snarl of a San Francisco leather daddy. Now, squeal like a pig, boy! She pushed her glasses up her nose and swatted her friends in her thighs. Oscar spent the next hour being smacked around mercilessly by his best friend, becoming steadily more excited as he did so, that is, between the giggling fits. To Oscar's surprise, Ducky was also an accomplished thief and had also brown-bagged a strap-on in her trip to Mad Q leather. So she snuggled up, seated herself between her best friend's splayed thighs, and said, "Now, slut boy, bitch slave, I'll make you suck my cock first." but I think it would taste weird. She played with Oscar's butthole, having to adjust her glasses to get a decent look at the quirky little entrance. Do you think 12 inches is too much, she asked. Excuse me? Yeah, said Ducky, stupid question. Ew, this thing is all slippery. Okay, hold still. Oscar let out a gurgling yelp, then started to giggle, cold, 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 which quickly descended into low moans. He still squeaked periodically, said OMG several times, along with LOL and ROFL, which he pronounced as ruffle, ruffle, ruffle. After he observed that Ducky's cock was all the way into him. The well-buggered Oscar was most decidedly not rolling on the floor laughing, but Ducky very much got the point. Her best friend seemed to be having a good enough time with her cock in his ass. Wow, discovered Ducky. This stuff is pretty easy when you're on the frowning end. Oscar did not shoot off. That was one boundary in her relationship she'd been quite explicitly unwilling to pass. Nonetheless, he got a sound ass fucking, and when she let Oscar down, he excitedly said, OMG, I feel like John Travolta in the 70s. He embraced Ducky and squealed like a girl. Boob went smearing and dripping everywhere, but Ducky seriously needed a shower anyway. OMG, you were my best friend ever, he tweeted. I'm totally such a total fucking motherfuck. OMG. I'm such a good ass fuck. You totally almost made me straight. ROFO. Thanks, I guess, said Ducky. I liked it too. I guess you almost made me, a dominatrix. OMG, I'm so flattered, Charlie Sheen. Oscar, you have the worst taste in men. Lost in thought, waiting for her OChem 2 seminar to start one day, she murmured, don't dominatrixes make a lot of money? To herself, which resulted in an explosion of giggles from the back of the room from the cackled observation that she's talking to herself. Ducky had to put down her slide rule to flip the bitches off, but she was undeterred. She took out her iPhone and started Googling the phrase, spanking guys for money, and several of its more colorful variations. Ducky discovered that the lone dungeon in the county was located in an old ice factory out on Highway 35 by the Mustang, possibly the world's sleaziest strip club. The dungeon was called House of Pain, probably because it was presided over by Goddess Infortunia Illustratia Agony Pain Mistress, which Ducky thought was pretty much the absolute most boneheaded thing she'd ever heard. She dialed the number on the web, and when her perky voice answered the phone, she said as loudly as she could reasonably do, hello, House of Pain? Yes, I'd like to find out about becoming a dominatrix. I'm 21, measurements? You mean like calculations? Usually with the Texas Instruments T184. The giggles behind her rose to titters, and whispers abounded as the girls traded speculations about what weird thing Ducky was up to now. She said very loudly, yes, as a matter of fact, I've got lots of experience in lesbian domination. And I can tie 40 different kinds of knots. Do you need to know physiology? Because I got an A+. Oh, and I own my own strap-on. Sure, I can come out for an interview. See you then. The whispers behind her escalated. Oh my god, she's like a total prostitute. What a total pervert. Ducky had both hands free again and yawned as she made big swirling motions behind her with her up-thrust fingers, softly singing Jimmy Buffett's You Were Born an Asshole to herself. Oscar had once gone through a cowboy phase. The Jimmy Buffett song had made Ducky think of Oscar, so that night she gave him a call for moral support, and ended up listening to about 3 hours of ranting about Oscar's annoying pervert husband, Robert. The guy seemed to think that a committed but non-monogamous relationship with a younger man meant cruising Golden Gate Park for anonymous sex, attending all-male spank-fest parties in the bathhouse on Market Street, getting head from city councilman in the Macy's bathroom on his lunch hour, and never having sex without videotaping it for his free amateur slut-tube channel.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, said Oscar. I'm a huge exhibitionist, but 2 updates a day seems excessive. Should I be getting paid for this? Ducky refrained from observing that Robert was paying for Oscar's living expenses. She mentioned that she had checked out Robert's filthy slut-tube channel, and it was pretty cool. Did you stroke to it? Asked Oscar. None of your business, said Ducky. Oscar squealed, that's a yes, you are such a fag hag. Did you see the alpha toxin molecule on his left ball sack? That one was mine. He added by way of explanation. I was totally pissed off at him that day. You know you're mixing an oxygen atom, right? Fuck you, Joan Rivers. I'd like to see you fit all those O's onto your husband's nutsack. Toward the end of the conversation, Ducky managed to get a word in edgewise about her new job opportunity, and Oscar squealed in delight. When Ducky arrived for the interview, Mistress Payne was reluctant to take Ducky too seriously. There really isn't much demand for your, type, miss. When the madam said the word type, she curled her lip and made it clear she was casting aspersions on Ducky's ability to attract guys in the first place. Mistress Payne frowned. And that thing? What, my corset? Oh, is that what that is? It's silk-lined copper with steel cable laces. Haven't you ever heard of steampunk? Only for lobsters. What I really need are slutty blonde beach bunnies to jiggle their tits and give hand jobs. Isn't this a house of domination? Yes, said Payne, but that's why you tell them they're bad for wanting one. Said Ducky, but I can tie 40 different kinds of knots. My best friend is gay. Payne sighed. I suppose I could give you a try, but I already have one tattooed girl. She started about a week ago. Nobody ever hires her. She spends most of her shifts sitting in the lounge reading tech magazines. Ducky's nipples hardened. Did you say tech magazines? I'll give you a week. Start tomorrow, and do not wear that steampunk. When Ducky arrived for her first day wearing her very best glam pirate outfit, she was sent promptly to the lounge to discover a pixie girl dressed in a spiderweb meshed catsuit with taxidermy tarantulas obscuring her nipples, and her crotch veiled by a demonic clown-faced codpiece. She was reading a copy of Dissection Hobbyist Review bi-monthly. The girl looked up from her reading and said brightly, "Love the pirate hat." Ducky squawked. Unable to form human speech, Ducky scampered into a corner and curled up with her copy of Molecular Bonds Quarterly. The spider girl said, "Oh my god, are you the one who went steampunk for your interview? You totally freaked out, Mistress Payne. I think you made her hair go even grayer. What's her name?" The girl's name was Fiona Hill, nee Francine Heliowski, and despite Ducky's initial awkwardness, the two became fast friends. Over the next 6 days, between the hourly times when potential clients would enter the dungeons, the girls on duty would all line up. The clients would walk slowly from girl to girl, sizing up each of the 4 blonde girls in hot pink bikinis or cheap PVC corsets. The potential clients would stare confusedly at Ducky's pirate hat and eye patch, and say something to Fiona like, "Are those real Never mind, I don't want to know." And looking pale and vaguely nauseated, would stumble back to the blonde girls and grab 1, maybe 2, sometimes 3. On the 6th day, Fiona remarked, "Ugh, are we ever going to get hired? I am totally dying to spank the shit out of someone." Mistress Payne told me all we do is give hand jobs. "Oh, yeah, right," Fiona said, rolling her eyes. "Not that I have anything to say about like that bad, but I'm like totally dying to activate some hot guy's nociceptors. Hey!" Fiona stood up and cooed around at Ducky's ass. "Turn around," she said. Ducky did. Before Ducky knew what was happening, she'd been bent over at the waist and her skirt was half pulled up, exposing her it-won't-lick-itself panties, which she always wore backwards because doing so made her giggle throughout the day. Fiona whacked her hard, laughed, whacked again, and Ducky's eyes went wide and she yelped. "Feel good? Oh my god, when the goddess created the concept of spankability, she thought, I am such a fuck-up because I'll never create anything as spankable as that girl Ducky's ass. Is that acetylcholine?" Ducky opened her mouth and felt dizzy. "It's not like we've got anything better to do," said Fiona. "I totally want to spank the shit out of this gorgeous, pretty little ass. Wow, is that cyanide on your left cheek? You missed an opening." "Oh, no you didn't." Fiona spanked her, considerably harder this time. "Beep," said Ducky, suspended in midair over Fiona's pretty knee as she was spanked, stroked, and pretty soon she was humping wildly and moaning. Her death's head bikini top had come undone, and Fiona was playing with her nipples, and her pirate top was nowhere to be found. Soon Fiona was finger-fucking Ducky wildly. Ducky writhed like a little slut, utterly unprepared for the sensation of her close approaching orgasm. Ducky had never been finger-fucked before, and the one time Oscar had spanked her, it was on her 18th birthday with a piñata. She moaned, humped, writhed, squirmed, and surged desperately toward an intense climax. "Oh no," Fiona said, "I didn't even ask. I am totally like a bitch from hell. That was so non-consensual of me. You would think I'd never read Consensual Perversion or A Practical Guide to the Negotiation of Filthy Lifestyles. I'm so sorry, Ducky. Here, I'll stop." "STFU," growled Ducky. "Don't stop." "OMG," said Fiona, putting her hand back on Ducky's skirt and fingering her rapidly. "A little spanking slut. I am still so bad for not asking first. You have to spank me later first to punch me, okay?" "Totally," whined Ducky, on the very edge of orgasm. "What is going on here?" bellowed Madame Payne as she thundered into the room. "Did I not specifically say that there was to be no playing between clients?" Fiona leapt up reflexively, dumping Ducky unceremoniously on the floor. "Oops, sorry," she hissed, and turned her attention to Madame Payne. "Between clients," said Fiona. "Neither of us has even got any clients. You're actually going to bust our balls over a friendly little spanking?" Ducky, for her part, was not in the mood to be civil. Madame Payne had just sentenced her to the worst case of blue balls of her life. So she pulled herself to her feet, dusted off her eye patch, and started advancing on Madame Payne with bloody murder in her eyes. "How'd you like your ilium on the outside, bitch?" snarled Ducky, who had only rarely been moved to violence, but was making up for lost time. "Like maybe staple gun to your forehead?" Paling, Madame Payne grabbed a cheap flogger with which to defend herself. The strands fell out as she brandished it at Ducky. But lucky for Madame Payne, Fiona had grabbed her friend by her miniskirt and was holding her back. "That's it, get out!" screamed Madame Payne. Ducky came to her senses, took a deep breath, and smiled pleasantly. "Of course, Madame Payne, just let me get my pirate hat." It was not that much later that Fiona, now broke, was evicted from her apartment and had to share Ducky's single dorm room, which gave them both plenty of time to practice their spanking, but did little to alleviate their mutual dire financial distress. Then one day, Oscar got off the bus from San Francisco and showed up on Ducky's doorstep carrying his suitcases. "I left him," said Oscar. "For fuck's sake, I love getting naked on camera as much as the next guy, but I mean, sheesh. I managed his whole stupid SlutTube channel. I learned everything there was to know about publishing porn over the web. Shouldn't I get paid for it? Well, I showed him." Oscar pulled out a video camera. "Top of the line. I got it in the divorce settlement." Fiona and Ducky's eyes both widened. Fiona said brightly, "Oscar, can you turn around? I'd like to see that ass." Oscar blushed. "My ass?" Fiona spun Oscar around and bent him over. "Now this," said Fiona, "is a spankable ass. Does he take strap-on cocks?" "Oh, totally," said Oscar. Between gasps as Fiona started spanking his ass, he said, "Ducky here was my first. She fucked me so good once she almost made me straight. Ha, as if, OMG. Are you letting my pants down?" "Holy shit, Ducky, your friend here is hung like a... Oh my god, is that a long-chain glycoprotein on your cock, or are you just glad to see me?" "Holy shit, Ducky, does your friend always talk so dirty?" "You have no idea," said Ducky, as Fiona lengthened Oscar's glycoprotein tattoo considerably. Ducky picked up the camera and pointed with a smile. And that is how there came to be a website known as The Fugly Ducky, which was listed this year at #1 on Adult Video Magazine's list of the 100 hottest punk dominatrix sites of all time, and #3 on Biochemistry Review's list of why there's hope for the future. The site featured Ducky and Fiona spanking and playing with Oscar in wide variation, and involving the liberal wearing of both pirate gear and hammered copper corsets. There was even a Star Trek uniform now and then, particularly for the bi-weekly Next Gen versus Voyager catfights, in which Ducky always totally kicked Oscar's ass. He was big, but his 7 of 9 outfit made him feel so girly. Oscar and Fiona were soon quite madly in love and enjoying a rather sordid bisexual relationship, both on and off camera, while Ducky mostly got her kicks fooling around with her friends on the set of The Fugly Ducky, where she quickly tried just about every sexual variation she could think of, particularly the ones that involved her tying guys up and smacking them. Ducky became wealthy enough from the Fugly Ducky membership fees that she could pay for the first year of her biochem PhD program in cash, which she did. They moved to Palo Alto and took occupancy in a huge rundown, spooky, super goth Victorian shortly after their on-camera handfasting orgy. They hired a long parade of male models to receive Ducky's, Fiona's, and Oscar's attentions on camera. Fiona and Oscar, meanwhile, managed the technical aspects of the site, and Fiona became quite a sought-after consultant on emergent video technology. That is between her long sessions of spanking her husband on camera. Ducky became quite an accomplished on-camera dominant, known for her trademark impromptu biochemistry physiology lectures, delivered in a sex kitten purr as she tormented a willing victim with a whip or zapper or blade-sharp fingernails. "You feel that? Pumping through your vein, baby? That's substance P, baby. A neuromodulator that alters the excitability of the dorsal horn ganglion, bitch. We're talking pain-responsive neurons, fuck slut. Does that make your nitric oxide flow? Does it make your corpus cavernosa get all nice and plump when I fuck with the nociceptors? Should I give you some endorphins and a neurotransmitter cascade? Ha ha ha, you wish, slave. I'd rather see the neurons in your locus cellular spaz for a while. Do you have some catecholamines for mommy, little pain whore? That makes my glands go ape shit." Ducky firmly believed that porn should be educational.